Hi, my name is Chris and I welcome you to the first 20-minute draft. Let's get right into it. So, I pick a Kellen Inquisitive Prodigy as my first pick over Tunnel Tipster, Fast Baba, some alright morph cards, the Vampire that flip exiles for 2/1/1 bats. But yeah, the Kellen is the best card here. My second pick, I see a couple of good uncommons, the Smith and the Coerce to Kill, which is the strongest or most powerful card in the pack, or Makeshift Binding, so I picked that up. My third pick was a mistake. We see another Fast Baba, some other good cards like the Inspector, but I think the Courier is good at this point. I later realized there's enough 3-drops, there isn't enough investigation happening, so definitely a mispick. Aloxodon is a better pick, and fifth pick, another Coerce to Kill, also a good pickup. We see a third Fast Baba. This pack looks great. There are almost no wrong picks here. I mean, for me, I guess, but all cards are very good. But the Curse to Kill is the most powerful one. Now at this point, it's a very expensive deck. The Topiary Panther helps, better than a Murder in this format. And then I get a Extractor Confession late. Think about the Robe, but especially with the Panther, the Extract is just a better card. The Creeper, a nice 3 and a nice 5-drop, can sometimes really help with the flip up ability. And then another morph card over the cheap interaction. My deck is getting pretty expensive, so I pick up another Confession and some more creatures. So the second pack gives me a Krankus Buzz Crusher at this point. I'm looking for mana fixing, not for a double red card. Splashing it on fifth or fourth or fifth color isn't really great. But then I see the case of the Shattered Pact and I'm all in. So I take the World Soul's Rage and definitely want to play 5 colors at this point. Another Buzz Crusher, but the Technician is great to have as a red permanent. I get Deadly Cover Up, which is awesome for this type of deck. I want to play control, I want to go to the late game. You see some removal, but Hard Evidence is an awesome play that helps me stay till the late game. Pick up a 2-drop, a Fairy Snoop, a third Extract, a Confession, a Vitu-Ghazi, which can help with the mana fixing, and is also a creature if I need one. So could pick up a Public Thoroughfare, and then another mana fixing last pick, so it's not going too bad. I open a Drag the Canal. I think this card is great. Instant 2/2 with some upside if a creature died, and some secret upside that you might think about already. I get past the Leyline of the Guildpact, and this card is a meme, but I really want to make the case of the Shattered Pact happen, so I pick it up. Can help with the mana fixing. There's some other good cards, but yeah, I really want to make this happen, and I get rewarded with a second case of the Shattered Pact, and I pick it up over some good red removal spells and a black removal spell. This slides from the shadows, but I'm very happy at this point. Mentor of the Meek, I take a Escape Tunnel and then a Combine Chrysalis. I check on my tokens, but the time is running out, and another Fast Baba. I don't really realize I don't have enough tokens for this card. A Soul Elevation, and then another one is a great, or 2 great pickups for me. So I'm very happy with this draft. My mana isn't looking too bad. I pick up a Vampire as a white permanent, and then another one as my second white permanent. So I only have one red permanent and the guild, the Leyline of course, and an insanely late Slice from the Shadow. So nobody was playing black at this table. Last pick, Thoroughfare. So again, I check my curve, I check what I really want to play. I cut a Extractor Confession for the 3/2 Defender. I want to play my powerful cards. I cut the Chrysalis and I make the lands happen somehow. The mana isn't too bad. So let's get into the games. Game 1, my hand looks pretty alright. I have some interaction, some creatures, and all red mana. My opponent is on blue-white, doesn't have any 2-drops, but on turn 3 they play a pretty impressive Mythic Rare. I get rid of it before they can draw many cards or play another creature, so my Extractor Confession doesn't work anymore. On turn 4 I drop the Loxodon, and on their turn 4 They play the inside source. I try to lure them into double block. But of course they know they don't have to block and shouldn't block at this point. I'm happy though to play the hard evidence and the technician on my turn 2. And they play the 3-2 dog that doesn't let me flip anymore and pumps all the creatures if they attack with 3 or more. So I want to trade off, they don't. I draw the case of the Shattered Pact, get my island, and feel like maybe I can flip it soon with the white fairy, which I play more. And the red technician, I have all my colors. When they attack with 3 creatures though, I feel like I need to block. I have other green creatures in my hand, so I trade the Loxodon for the dog, as to not get pressured too much, and they have a 3-2 flyer in the second main. End of turn, I can now flip my technician though. So then I draw the ley line, which could solve the case instantly, but I'm under too much pressure, so I play the creeper to stabilize the board. They have a makeshift binding though, and again opens up the door for some good attacks on their part. Again, a couple of life points with my savior, my vampire. Again, only a green creature away from flipping or solving the case. The fairy gets countered sadly. They suspect the griffin. I think they should have suspected my technician or my crab perhaps. But after that much pressure, I feel like I should trade with my goblin, and I still have the ley line to solve the case if I need to. So then they play another pretty good flyer, but it's especially good to steal for me with the Coerce to Kill. It blocks well, if it dies I get a clue, and after stealing that one I can play the extract to get rid of the griffin as well, so I feel very happy at this point. They have another flyer, and this is the perfect time to play my ley line. I stabilize the board, I solve the case, and now pretty much every creature of me is somewhat scary with vigilance, flying, and double strike. They actually have a counter. I didn't thought they would have one. The deck looked pretty creature based and aggressive, but I dropped my panther, which of course is lethal at this point. They bounce it, I replay it, and when they attack I rather not block as to not lose my panther. They have an Azrim Agency Chief, pretty strong. They make 2 clues and can sack a clue for lifelink or hexproof, but I need to block my panther or die. So they do, and actually have the pump spell for it. They are a bit greedy in my opinion by not sacking a clue for lifelink. So they go to 4, and 2-2 with my case is lethal at this point. So I play Drag the Canal, my second main phase, get the survey and keep the deadly cover up just in case they have some interaction for my 2-2. Also drew the escape tunnel, and when I attack next turn they actually did have the interaction. I'm only on 6 at this point, so this would be lethal, and I'm very happy to have kept the deadly cover up. I rough the board and play the 3-2 defender, my second main. They draw nothing, crack a couple of clues, and then concede. They weren't dead yet, so I'm happy to take the win, but I think I was favored. Game 2 was a quick one. I keep a somewhat risky hand, though I find my third land, they didn't. They then don't crack a clue, but rather solve the case and put all eggs in one basket. They make their 4-4 fly and attack me, which I found a bit weird there behind, but they get blown out with my interaction anyways. So then I put them down to only 8 life with my attack. I have enough interaction for whatever they play. They have a blocker. Their deck looked interesting, but they were unlucky to not find their lands first. I removed the blocker to put them down to 2, and my rage would have been lethal, but they see there's no way out and concede. Game 3, my hand looks alright again. I have a removal, good mana, a creature. They play a 1-drop, so it looks like they want to pressure me. They have the Rummaging Detective, a pretty strong card, so I play the Loxodon to block. But they have the Galvanizing Blast to get rid of it and start rummaging. They get rid of a couple of lands, and I really want to find an answer, but don't want to use my rage just yet. And when I crack the clue, and find a Wrath. I decide it's good enough for me to have a 3-for-1, flip my Vitu-Ghazi and draft the board. On their turn they play a Surveillance Monitor, make a 1-1 flyer. I get rid of it at this point. I don't want to make them an army of flyers. And also play Drag the Canal. With the Surveil I decide to keep both cards on top. Both look good at this point. I use the Extract to get rid of their creature again. And decide to play the Technician face down to ambush their 1-1 flyer. They have a Lost in the Maze to not lose it and tap down my creatures. Buys them a bit of time. And they have another removal for my Vampire. They play another morph. I flip up my Fairy Snoop, which I found my last turn, and see the Topiary Panther. Now you might have noticed with the Fairy and the Panther, my detective token is actually white, so it's time to solve the case again, end of turn. My opponent tries to find an answer, but at this point looks pretty grim for them. They sack a Red Herring and concede. That's game 3. Again, I keep a hand with good mana, some creatures, some interaction. Pretty nice so far. I play a 3-2 blocker on my third turn. They haven't done anything at this point. Play a morph and I draw another land. So I remove the creature before they draw a card, like if they have a Fairy Snoop or make a Topter or stuff like that. And I actually had the Fairy. When I draw another land, I get a bit nervous at this point. They play the Homicide Investigator. I drop a Fairy to finally start some pressure, because all I need to do is find some lands to finally play all their spells in the hand. I drop another Fairy, Vampire. They just mill themselves and in their turn then return both Fairy Snoops to the hand. They need to discard to hand size, but next turn they play Deadly Cover-Up, which explains their play so far. It's a nice 4-for-1. I remove the Fairy before they draw another card with it, and my hand is pretty empty, but I draw Kellen and Slice from the Shadows. The Kellen should stabilize me, but it isn't. They steal it, and I remove their Surveillance Monitor before they do any more Toptering. They exile the Topter to get rid of my Drag the Canal token, and my Creeper blows them out. It really works out splendidly at this point. Destroys the Coerce to Kill from them. I get my 3-4 back, which is untapped because of the Vigilance, and I eat their 3-3. So that felt very great. I draw another land, and at this point they're somewhat low and could die from my Rage. They steal my Kellen again, gain 2 life, and get a bit farther away again from killing them. The Hard Evidence should buy me a bit of time. I keep the Forest in the hand this time because of the 2 mana exile card from the hand. And they play a Fat Spider, which gains them again more life, and my Crab becomes a bit useless. The Spider is a good target for the Curse to Kill though, so I steal it. I draw some more removal. And the game looks like it's going to go a bit further on. I blow them out when they use their Bite spell. But they actually have another one. Though that's why Soul Innovation is such a good card. I keep a permanent irrelevant one on the battlefield. I decide the Crab doesn't gain more than 5 life in this game, so I jump. And I find a Snoop, which finds me a Panther. And with this, I see another way forward to killing them. I drop the Vitu-Ghazi as a land, as a creature. They have a nice audience with Trustani to draw 4 cards. I get rid of the 3-5, so they can't really block my Panther that well. And I get them nice and low, so my Rage in hand becomes lethal again. I just use a little trick to prevent the Death Touch from doing anything. They just go low, and because I don't know what's in the format at this point, it's like my third draft, I keep open 2 mana for the counter spell. And that's game. The deck is 4-0. My hand 5 looks good again, some interaction, good mana. But when I go 1 drop into 2 drop into another 1 mana card, I realize with both I'm into quite a rough waters. They have the double pump, so I can't block with my vampire, which I played. I get rid of their 3-4, but they actually have the spell, which makes it into a 2-2. So pretty perfect draw from them. And then when I have another pump, all my hopes get shattered. And even if I would have drawn the deadly cover-up, I didn't draw the land, so at this point I'm pretty dead. And the ley line for the rub-in. Game 6 was another quick one. I keep a pretty alright hand. I get an island, play the Vitu-Ghazi branch as a morph. They also have a morph. I flip my land because I didn't draw anymore and I don't want to lose my 4th land. They play a Phoenix, I a Kellen to hopefully block it or raise it. They remove my Kellen, I remove one of the morphs just in case I can raise them or stabilize somehow. The shock in the end didn't really matter. I just couldn't deal with the Phoenix. The graveyard was full of evidence to collect, so it's 4-2. Game 7, I keep an alright opening hand, get rid of the vacuum cleaner before it deals me 2, 4, or 6 or even more damage. Play a Technician, they have a 3-3. Get a couple more lands, flip the Technician and start pressuring them. I think about stealing their 3-3, but in the end I decide to hopefully get a combat trick out of them. After they don't place anything, I rather use my Soul Innovation to get rid of their 3-3. I steal the suspectable and pumpable creature to have a mana sink for later and increase the pressure again. They then flip their flyer, which gains them life and surveys, but is an awesome target to curse again. Lazav wants to stabilize the board, but they don't even want to trade, so I put them down to only 3. Next turn they have a combat trick and a removal after I greedily pump. But I still feel alright with them only being at 3 life. They make a mistake and exile my Technician, draining them for 1, so they're only on 2 now. But I have a 3-1 flying blocker. I draw Kellen and decide the extract is pretty good here. I can't drain him for 1 anymore, but the Topta puts him down to just 1 life, so Kellen and the Topta are both lethal. They crack a clue and return their zombie. Are ready for my attacks with a Lost in the Maze, tap down my attackers. But if they don't gain life, just a creature needs to leave my graveyard, and of course with the Rage, it doesn't really matter what they draw. I just kill them next turn when they tap out, and they do. So the deck is 5-3. Game 8, my starting hand again looks pretty nice with interaction, good mana, and a creature. They play a Thrab Inspector, I get out an island, and they play a turn 3 Taser, which is pretty scary. It makes clues, makes 1/1 flyers. I can't play the Extract because of the Inspector. I just drop a creature, they start gaining value of the Taser, and I'm happy to remove it with my 4 mana Soul Innovation. I hope it's good enough, but the Taser did a lot of work at this point, so I'm definitely behind. They play some more Clue token makers and flyers, and the Snoop at least can block one of their tokens, also gets me a Kellen, but I'm already on 11. Just don't have the mana to play all of my expensive spells, but they are pretty aggressive. And I play out the Technician, hopefully amishing them at least somewhat. I crack a clue to gain the unblockability of the creature, play a Nightdrinker Morori. I steal a Morori to have another flying blocker. They also didn't attack last turn and run into my Snoop plus Topta with their Gargoyle. They bounce their Morori, and I just trade off some creatures, but already going down to 5 life. I also have to drag the Canal, just very efficient turns, while I have all these expensive cards. I don't exile my Technician, which is a mistake, to gain 1 life from the Soul Innovation, but at least I can play 2 spells now after drawing a land. The Kellen hopefully stabilizes me. They just play the Morori, which I'm thankful for at this point. Another land again helps me draw cast the Extract, this time draining them for 1. And also dropping another morph creature. I'm happy to gain the life with the flip of the vampire, but sadly I cracked a clue and find, or already had, the removal for my Kellen. So I don't gain a life. They attack for a bunch of damage. I trade my vampire off to gain 2 again, but with another Inspector and a 3/2 that leaves behind another 2/2 and a third creature, it looks pretty grim for me. I just get out a land, drop the Tiger, hope it's enough, but anything kills me at this point, and they have the removal. And also a pump to just kill me right this instant, instead of only next turn. So, in the end the deck went not a bad 5-3. I'm frustrated that I never drew the ley line in my opening hand, but it was fun and I could solve the case at least a couple of times.